Chapter 33. Master, I'm out of magic. Ding. Saeko Busujima has joined the group chat. Ding. Shizuka Marikawa has joined the group chat. Before heading out to farm experience, Lynn handed the phones he brought from the main world to Saeko and Shizuka. This world was still a modern world, so they were familiar with phones and group chats. However, the phones in their world no longer had any network service. Upon entering the chat, the first thing they noticed was the very eye-catching name of the group. Saeko Busujima chuckled, finding the name quite fitting. After all, everyone in the group was a part of their master's wings. Yay, I'm officially part of Master's harem too. Shizuka Marikawa reacted enthusiastically, clearly thrilled to be a part of Lynn's harem family. These two women, Kasumigakaka Utaha, folded her arms and analyzed them closely. Did they not have any normal modern societal values? When she first saw this name, she was speechless for quite some time. Maou. Women in an apocalyptic world truly couldn't be judged by normal standards. Leaving the faction's base, a desolate cityscape unfolded before them. Utaha and Miko paused in their steps, a strange feeling rising in their hearts. What lay before them was a street covered in blood and many zombies. The stench of decay filled the air, making it thick and suffocating. Both Utaha and Miko felt an instinctive wave of nausea. On the other hand, Saeko and the others remained unfazed. They had already seen plenty of this yesterday. Even Rei Miyamoto and Sayata Kagi, who were mainly in charge of logistics, were used to such sights by now. You good? Lynn asked, walking ahead of them. Inhale, exhale. Cough, cough. The two took deep breaths in an attempt to relax their bodies only to get choked by the pungent smell. Covering their noses, they forced themselves to respond. We're fine. No way I'm going to lose to the others. That was Utaha's thought. I can't disappoint Lynn. That was Miko's thought. Seeing this, Lynn gave a command. Saeko, make some noise and lure the zombies here. Yes, master. Saeko unsheathed her katana and swung it, sending an energy slash toward a nearby building. Boom! A 3-story building in the distance was sliced open. A fine crack appearing as part of the wall crumbled down with a loud crash. Utaha paid close attention to Saeko's abilities. Inwardly, she declared her victory. That flying slash must be her power, huh? Doesn't seem like much. My archivist devil abilities are way better. This time, the victory is mine. As the noise rang through the streets, the zombies began to gather once again. So these are actual walking corpses, real zombies. Seeing them for the first time, Utaha and Miko both shuddered. All right, time to fight. Saeko licked her lips, excitement flashing in her eyes, before charging ahead. Damn it, Utaha refused to be left behind. Even though this was her first time facing zombies, and she hesitated for a moment, she quickly reminded herself. She had already fought cursed spirits before, so a bunch of zombies were nothing. More importantly, she refused to let that sneaky cat steal the spotlight. Summoning her devil's grimoire, she commanded, "Lightning strike!" Boom! A bolt of blue lightning crashed down from the sky, instantly frying 7 or 8 zombies gathered together. Seeing the result, Utaha's tension eased significantly. She even stuck a glance at Saeko, as if to say pretty cool, huh? Saeko simply smiled and praised. That's a powerful ability, as expected of the first member to join the faction. Utaha felt like she had just punched cotton. Damn it, this woman totally ignored my provocation. Saeko then advised, the zombie's weak point is the head. Aim there, and it'll be easier. Thanks for the tip. Although she had her issues with the sneaky cat, she still appreciated the advice. She was just feeling a little conflicted. She was here first, the first to meet Lynn, the first to become his follower. Utaha, don't forget to train your other stats too, Lynn reminded her. She sighed. Yeah. With a snap, she shut her grimoire to use it physically. Devil's grimoire. By evening. Smash! Utaha crushed a zombie's head using her grimoire. She stared at it in silence. Can I still use this again? Devil's grimoire. I wasn't made for this. Utaha felt a slight pang of guilt, but it quickly faded. After all, her magic had already wrapped around the grimoire, preventing it from actually touching anything dirty. It just looked disgusting. Ugh, another zombie shambled toward her. She prepared to repeat her previous move, but suddenly staggered. Her magic was running low. Whoosh! A sharp slash cut through the air, instantly decimating the approaching zombies in a clean line. Turning around, Utaha wasn't surprised to see the sneaky cat standing there. Thanks. After fighting alongside her, she had at least gotten used to her presence. But a sneaky cat was still a sneaky cat. She glanced down only to see those things bouncing wildly. Utaha deadpanned. That unnatural bounce frequency. You should seriously apply for a Guinness World Record. Seiko, ? Utaha, take a break and recover your stamina. Phew. Utaha let out a breath. She was exhausted. Her body was still fine, but keeping her grimoire active constantly drained her magic. Looking up at the darkening sky, she realized today had been the most physically active day of her life. Endless hordes of zombies. Just making a noise attracted more of them. This place was literally a perfect grinding spot. For 3 straight hours, she had been fully immersed in farming. Here, drink this. Seiko handed her a bottle of milk. What's this? It restores stamina. Seiko's expression was complicated. She and Lynn had enjoyed some earlier. The results had been remarkable. Utaha hesitated. With that look on her face, this definitely seemed fishy. No thanks, I'll just replenish my magic. Replenish magic? Seiko was confused. Utaha scanned the area. Found him. She took a deep breath. After holding back all night, she was definitely collecting some interest today. Oomph. Just watch, sneaky cat. Lynn was busy analyzing his team's growth. Next thing he knew, Utaha was standing before him, looking up at him with those deep scarlet red eyes, filled with an unreadable emotion. Master, I'm out of magic. Chapter 34. The Dignity of the First Wife and the Tragic Loser. Master, I'm out of magic. Even though she was trying to regain some ground in front of Seiko, this begging for a kiss posture still made her cheeks heat up. Lynn glanced at the milk cans carried by Rei Miyamoto and Sayatakagi, who were in charge of logistics. Then, he noticed Utaha Kasugakaka looking at him with puppy-like expectant eyes. Forget it. He might as well do it himself. After all, his saliva had the same effect. Lynn increased the dose and activated the fluid-based restoration effect of his Healing Devil ability. MMPH. Utaha's eyes widened slightly. Not just her magic power, her stamina was also recovering. Did Lynn's replenishing skill get an upgrade? Fully refreshed, Utaha was filled with curiosity. But she didn't forget what was more important to her. After wiping her mouth, she returned to Seiko's side. With precise and fluid movements, she cut down a zombie, showing no signs of her previous exhaustion. Well, she asked smugly. Magic replenishment, pretty useful, right? Seiko suddenly understood. So that's what replenishing magic is. She recalled last night despite being utterly exhausted. With just one injection from her master, she found herself engaging in another round of intense combat. No wonder they did it all night. Seiko nodded in agreement. Yes, replenishing magic is indeed useful. And also for stamina. Utaha. Damn it. She suddenly remembered this woman had crawled into Lynn's bed last night. Just replenishing magic? She and Lynn had done this and that, all night without getting a rest. This woman, Utaha, gritted her teeth. Utaha, Seiko suddenly spoke. I've sensed it from earlier. That inexplicable hostility. It wasn't the kind that enemies had for each other. It was more like romantic rivalry? You like Master, don't you? Seiko smiled warmly. Utaha was stunned for a moment, then admitted frankly, yeah, I do. Then you have nothing to worry about. Utaha. ? This sneaky cat. What does she mean by that? Seiko smiled. I'm here to join you all, not to break you apart. Utaha froze. Ah, this sneaky cat is exactly the type all men love. She can even say something like this so openly. But there was one thing Seiko had misunderstood. Utaha pouted. You've got it wrong. Right now, I'm the one joining you guys. ? Now it was Seiko's turn to be confused. You and Master. That's right, you're ahead of me. So, I was the first. Seiko's face instinctively lit up with joy. TCH. Utaha clicked her tongue in annoyance. She knew this woman would react this way after learning the truth. Even though they all knew that, eventually, they'd all be completely claimed by Lynn. No one could have him exclusively, but the orders still mattered, and she had completely lost the initiative. Not that she could blame anyone, she had let the opportunity slip away herself. After clearing the air, the two became much closer, and then Utaha learned some devastating news. What? The second spot was taken too. Thud. Utaha fell to her knees, utterly defeated. Miko Yatsuya, who had been watching everything, made her judgment. Seiko Busujime, dignity of the first wife. Utaha Kasumagakith, tragic loser. Late at night, the girls were all panting heavily from exhaustion. Tonight had been an exhilarating grind for experience points. Utaha and Miko had experienced the true wonders of this world. Was that milk some kind of recovery item? Miko seemed nostalgic. She had been on the verge of collapse, but after downing a can of milk, she was instantly rejuvenated. It had fully restored her endurance. Hearing Miko's question, Shizuka blushed and instinctively hugged her big and soft twins protectively. Seiko's expression also became slightly strange. Miko looked puzzled. What's wrong? No, it's nothing. Seiko shook her head. It is a type of recovery item. As for how it was made, well, she could discover that for herself later. Lynn's bedroom. This was the room Seiko had specifically set aside for Lynn. It was the largest room in the house. Not only was it spacious, but the bed was also huge, perfect for multiple people to, perfect for everyone to update their blessings, Falna, together. Ivo, Shizuka Marikawa, was the first to strip completely, leaving only a pair of pink underwear. Then, with a dramatic leap, she landed on the bed, her soft curves jiggling. Burying her face into the plush mattress, she took a deep breath before rolling on her back, waiting for Lynn to update her blessing. Seiko didn't hesitate either, leaving only a pair of purple underwear. The two of them had already done everything with Lynn, so there was no need for modesty. They displayed themselves openly before him. Of course, noticing Utaha and Miko's dumbfounded expressions, Seiko felt the need to explain. Our clothes got dirty while fighting zombies. If we don't take them off, we might dirty Master's bed. Dirty? Utaha and Miko glanced at the barely stained clothes. Yeah, right. Utaha's gaze flickered. Why, yeah, that's true. My clothes do seem a little dirty. Her voice trembled slightly, but her hands did not hesitate. She pulled off her top. Her fingers trembled as they reached the clasp of her bra. But after glancing at the fully stripped Seiko and Shizuka, she clenched her teeth, stomped her foot, and took it off. The black lingerie slipped down. Utaha felt her face burning up. Of course, she wasn't as bold as Seiko or Shizuka, still covered her chest with her arms while sliding off her skirt. But she kept her black stockings. Seiko and Shizuka had bare legs. That was her advantage. Utaha-senpai. Miko's voice was complicated. Weren't they in this together? How could she betray her like this? What was she supposed to do now? Staring at the three on the bed, Miko felt completely out of place. Weren't they just here to update their blessings? Why did it turn into this? And aren't blessings on the back? Suppressing the urge to complain, Miko sighed and removed only her top, lying on her stomach and unhooking her bra. Lynn, seeing they were all ready, began updating their blessings one by one. Then he reached Utaha. She was lying face down like an ostrich. Lynn sighed. Did she forget where her Falna was? Lifting his hand, he gave a firm smack on her soft backside. Utaha, turn over. Chapter 35, like one of those videos. Ah! A crisp sound echoed from the bedroom. Kasumagakaka Utaha felt a burning sensation on her backside and couldn't help but tremble slightly. Only then did she remember that her blessing had been inscribed on the front of her body. Awkwardly, she turned over. On the way, her eyes met Yatsuya Miko's doubtful gaze. Utaha's own eyes darted away in embarrassment. So humiliating. Miko couldn't believe it. The same senior who had once advised her to have the blessing inscribed on her back had chosen to have hers placed on the front. Utaha senpai. Miko's expression turned complicated. Your hands are in the way. Lynn reminded her again. Ugh. Utaha trembled once more, then turned her head aside, closed her eyes, and, with fluttering eyelashes, slowly lowered her hands. Freed from its constraints, her soft bubs naturally shifted slightly. As he updated her blessing, Lynn inevitably got to appreciate a unique and captivating sight. He had already seen both Saeko and Shizuka's, but Utaha's had its own distinct charm. Each had their own appeal. Kusumigakaka Utaha. Rank, low-class devil. Race, devil. Master, Lynn Valifer. Stats, strength, G255. Agility, H146. Endurance, H159. Magic, F361. Unique skills, Archivist Devil, details omitted. Next was Miko. Yatsuya Miko. Rank, low-class devil. Race, devil. Master, Lynn Valifer. Stats, strength, H103. Agility, H146. Endurance, I89. Magic, G274. Unique skills, Spirit Sight, details omitted, and Spirit Devil, details omitted. After recording all their updated stats, Lynn said, all done. Hearing this, Miko and Utaha hurriedly put their clothes back on. Meanwhile, Saeko and Shizuka remained unfazed in their relaxed states, but Utaha and Miko had no time to worry about them. The four girls took the blessing data from Lynn and began reviewing it. Lynn, in turn, analyzed their progress. Shizuka didn't need much explanation. She was a support-type devil, so her stats naturally wouldn't grow as quickly. Still, for her first day, the progress was decent. As a devil, she did have combat potential, just not as prominently as Saeko, who was a natural-born killer. Saeko, of course, required no further discussion. Her bloodlust skill gave her an inherent advantage over most others in raw stat growth. Utaha had taken down a decent number of zombies that night as well. Compared to before, her stat growth was actually quite solid. That said, as one of Lynn's servants, she had already been completely overtaken by Saeko in just a single day, which was a little sad. As for Miko, her stats had also improved reasonably well, but her spirit devil ability hadn't played much of a role in this world. Realistically speaking, she would be far more suited to a world where spiritual entities were prevalent. For now, her leveling efficiency was lower. It would be best to build up her foundations here first. After reviewing their stats, the girls all seemed fairly satisfied. Their hard work that night hadn't been in vain. However, when Utaha, with Saeko's permission, took a look at her blessing data, she immediately fell into a deep existential crisis. Wait, you're telling me you only became Lynn's servant yesterday? Saeko smiled and nodded. Miko suddenly exclaimed. Utaha-senpai looks like she's lost all hope again. Utaha let out a sorrowful cry. Bloodlust. Why does such an overpowered ability even exist? She was doomed, completely and utterly outclassed in every possible way. The next morning, yawning, Utaha stepped out of her room. She had been so naive. She had thought staying in this world would give her more time to be close to Lynn. She hadn't expected last night to turn out like that. Utaha felt like the entire house had been filled with the noises of Saeko and Shizuka acting like ravenous beasts. She had nearly ground her teeth to dust in frustration. Even worse, she had ended up listening to those sounds while imagining Lynn. Utaha shook her head furiously, tried to erase the filthy images from her mind. It was all Saeko's fault for saying, Utaha, do you want to join us? Who the hell would join you? Although she had been slightly tempted for a moment. But her dignity as a woman had brought her back to her senses. At the very least, her first time should be something special between just her and Lynn, right? Utaha thought about the bunny girl outfit she had ordered online earlier. She wondered when it would arrive. Creak. Miko pushed open her door, revealing deep, dark circles under her eyes. Utaha and Miko exchanged glances, both letting out an awkward chuckle. Miko sighed. The whole blessing update process had already been shocking enough for her. But the real shock had come afterward. This house. Isn't it a bit too much? Like one of those videos where people just never stop. The fact that she was now part of this same group made Miko sigh even deeper. Mom, I can't guarantee you what kind of person your daughter is going to become. Chapter 36. The Luxury Apartment. For the next period, Lynn's followers settled into a routine of 3 simple activities. Eating, sleeping, and beating up the zombies. It's worth noting that Miko initially stayed in the apocalypse world for a few days, but ultimately decided to return home before evening. After all, she still had a mother at home. If she spent too many nights away, her mom would start worrying. Especially since she had once seen Lynn walking Miko home. She had somehow gotten the impression that Miko was living with her boyfriend. If Miko stayed out too much longer, her mom might start preparing to be a grandmother. Supernatural Investigation Club. As usual, Utaha and Miko were preparing to head into the apocalypse world. Since both of them had become quite familiar with it by now, Lynn decided not to accompany them this time. His exact words to them were, "As mature followers, you should learn to grind for experience on your own." As their leader, he couldn't always babysit them through battles. He had his own things to take care of. Very important things. Lynn's home. In the living room, Kaneko Tojo was curled up against Lynn, watching the defeat screen on the TV with a slightly disappointed expression. No matter how hard she tried, she just couldn't surpass her senior Lynn. Lynn patted her head in reassurance. "Don't worry, you were really close this time. Just a little more, and you would have beaten me." Kaneko leaned back, gazing at his chin before murmuring, "You've said that so many times before, senpai." "Ah, have I?" Seeing that Lynn honestly couldn't remember, Kaneko sighed. "Oh well, just being able to play games with you makes me happy." She stood up and prepared to teleport back home using a magic circle. But just before leaving, she suddenly paused as if remembering something. "All right." She reached into her pocket and pulled out 2 objects. "Rice Bucho asked me to give these to you when she heard I was coming over. They're from Sona Citri." After Kaneko left, Lynn inspected the items. A key and a water magic scroll. He raised an eyebrow, not sure what Sona was up to. To be honest, their first meeting hadn't been all that pleasant. And after that day, they hadn't really interacted much. Sona had never brought up the idea of participating in a raiding game again either. Lynn had assumed that was the end of it. But now she'd sent something through Rias, using Kaneko as the messenger. Oh well, might as well accept it. No point wasting a free gift. The water magic scroll can be copied into the Devil's Grimoire for Utaha. As for the other item, he picked up the key, noticing an address attached to it. He glanced out the window. The sky was getting gloomy, with rain likely on the way. With nothing better to do, he decided to check it out. On the way, a light rain had started to fall. But for a devil like Lynn, it was easy enough to coat himself in magic so that the raindrops never even touched him. This should be the place, right? He wasn't entirely sure. Looking around, he considered asking someone for directions. That's when he noticed a blonde girl sitting alone in a nearby park. Something about her seemed familiar, like he'd seen her in an anime before. Lynn opened his system panel to check. Sure enough, his Devil's Peace ability was flashing wildly. Well, that confirmed it. With a small shift in direction, he changed his course toward the park. Might as well recruit a new follower while he was here. At park, sitting on a swing, drenched in the rain, Shina Mahiru blinked in mild surprise as a pair of shoes stopped in front of her. Looking up, she saw a young man with messy black hair and striking red eyes. She felt no particular stir of emotion, only a reflexive response. "I appreciate your concern, but this is by choice. I won't catch a cold." Lynn. Damn, that was way too smooth. Her rejection was so natural, so perfectly executed, that he had no idea how to respond for a second. Clearly, she had done this many times before. Noticing his expression, Mahiru hesitated slightly. Had she been too harsh? Other people had approached her earlier, and she had instinctively turned them away. But was that rude? As she wrestled with her thoughts, Lynn spoke up again. "You look like you could use some help." "No, Mahiru began to decline out of habit, but Lynn interrupted her. Maybe I should put it more clearly. His deep red eyes locked onto her warm, caramel-colored ones. Would you like the assistance of a devil? Mahiru was stunned. People often called her an angel, but today she had met a man claiming. Chapter 37. Shina Mahiru. Devil. Mahiru didn't know how to react. Another Chinibu? No, if I said nothing, will that make the devil guy feel awkward? She hesitated, worried about being rude. Wow, so you're a devil, huh? That's an amazing ability? Lynn, if you put a little more emotion into that line, it'd sound way more convincing. Sorry. Mahiru lowered her head apologetically. I felt like she messed up. Lynn shook his head. It was obvious she didn't believe he was a devil. But that was normal. He had already tried recruiting Aoyama and Nanami at the convenience store multiple times, but she had always brushed it off. For ordinary people, or rather, for those who had never encountered the supernatural who would believe devils were real. Thinking about it, Lynn took out a long-forgotten devil contract flyer. It was a tool made by the devils of this world to handle business. If a customer needed assistance, they could use the flyer to summon a devil and make a request. In exchange, the devil would take something of equal value as payment. If you ever need help, just call my name using this. Mahiru absent-mindedly accepted the flyer, then suddenly realized, oh, so this is just a sales pitch. Lynn ignored her remark and simply said, remember my name, Lynn. After handing over the flyer and introducing himself, Lynn turned to leave. But just as he was about to step out of the park, he stopped and turned back. Question mark. Mahiru looked at him, confused. Do you know the way to apartment 5011? Mahiru, I'll take you there. That's the unit right next to mine. Apartment 5011. Thanks for showing me the way, Mahiru-san. Mahiru shook her head. It's nothing. Then, she entered her own apartment next door. Seeing that, Lynn stepped into 5011. The moment he opened the door, he could feel the aura of wealth. TCH, as expected of the Citri family's young lady. This place is extravagant. What greeted him was luxurious decor and high-end brand-name furniture. As for the other facilities, everything was top tier. He wasn't sure if the place had always been like this or if someone had deliberately prepared it after giving him the key. Either way, he wasn't going to say no to a free luxury apartment. All right, first things first, I should set up a teleportation marker here. Also, I need to see if my bed is big enough for my activities. Meanwhile, since Mahiru had gotten wet from the rain, she decided to take a bath before she caught a cold. She stripped off her clothes and tossed them into the laundry basket. At that moment, the devil flyer Lynn had given her fluttered out and landed on the floor. Mahiru paused for a moment, then picked it up. In the bathroom sitting in the bathtub, Mahiru stared at the flyer, lost in thought. Devils, can they really be real? She suddenly chuckled to herself. How ridiculous! Who would believe such a thing? Summoning by simply calling a name? That was the kind of thing only children would fall for. She tried to recall the name. Lynn, wasn't it? Let's see if I can expose this scam. Fixing her gaze on the devil flyer, Mahiru muttered, Appear before me, Lynn. The moment she spoke, she laughed, laughing at how childish she was being. But then, buzz! A dazzling light flashed inside the bathroom. A glowing purple magic circle emerged from the flyer. In the next second, Lynn's figure appeared and fell straight into the bathtub with a splash. Lynn and the naked Mahiru locked eyes. His tone was complicated as he said, You sure picked an interesting place for summoning. Hey, oh wow. The loud scream echoed from apartment 5010. Later, in apartment 5010's living room. Now fully dressed, Mahiru sat across from Lynn, blushing furiously as she handed him a cup of hot tea. Her gaze darted around the room, unable to meet his eyes. She had been completely seen. Sitting on the couch, Mahiru let out a silent wail of despair. Lynn took a sip of tea. So, you summoned me. So soon, what kind of help do you need? Mahiru gave an awkward laugh. Could she really say that she had only summoned him to confirm the flyer was fake? Who would have thought it would actually work? And more importantly, Mahiru hesitated. Lynn-san, are you really a devil? Authentic and certified. Lynn shrugged. And besides, didn't you see it yourself? I just still find it hard to believe. Mahiru's emotions were complicated. So, devils really do exist. But Lynn didn't seem like the devils from myths and legends. Mahiru was puzzled. Aren't devils supposed to be evil? Lin-san isn't just handsome, he doesn't feel dangerous at all. So, have you made up your mind? Lynn looked at Mahiru. Made up my mind about what? Mahiru blinked in confusion. Your request. Lynn looked at her, exasperated. What was up with this girl? Did she summon him just so he could watch her take a bath? Was she into exhibitionism or something? Mahiru finally caught on. A request. She awkwardly played with a strand of her hair. What now? Letting Lynn leave without asking for anything would feel like a waste. Speaking of requests, she did have something in mind. She remembered what happened earlier. Today, her mother had lectured her again. Even though she tried so hard to be a good girl, she still couldn't earn her parents' love. Taking a deep breath, she looked straight at Lynn with newfound determination. Lin-san, please teach me how to be a bad girl. I beg you. Being an angel was Chapter 38, Fallen Angel Devil. A bad girl. Lynn pondered for a moment. There were many ways to go bad. But would Shina Mahiru be able to handle it? If she wasn't careful, she might end up completely broken. Lynn's crimson eyes flickered slightly. If you want to be a bad girl, how about trying to become a devil? Huh? Mahiru froze. You mean a devil, like you? That's right. Lynn nodded. When it comes to being bad, a devil fits the role perfectly, don't you think? Mahiru considered his words. She had always been called an angel. If she really became a devil, what would that be like? If I become a devil, will I look weird? She asked hesitantly. Do I look weird to you? Lynn stared into her eyes, letting her take a good look. Unable to handle his gaze, Mahiru turned her head slightly. Fine, I'll do it. I'll become a devil. Wow, she agreed way too easily. Lynn was a little surprised. Normally, someone in her position would have the same reaction as Miko. They'd be terrified, maybe even scared to the point of wetting themselves. Because you don't seem like a devil at all, Lin-san, Mahiru said with a smile. Even though he called himself a devil, he was nothing like the ones from legends. Besides, as a human, she had never truly been happy. Would her life be different if she changed her identity? She wanted to know. Just so you know, if you become a devil, you'll be my servant from now on, Lynn warned. Servant? Mahiru tilted her head in confusion. Lynn gave her a brief explanation about devils and their servants. Mahiru blushed slightly. So becoming a devil means entrusting everything to you, Lin-san? She hesitated. Was she really going to give herself to a man she had just met today? A man who was also a devil? She had no idea what might happen. Lin-san, do you really need a servant that badly? Of course. Even someone like me? Mahiru felt insecure. Having grown up in a household where she was never truly wanted, she had no idea what kind of talent she possessed that would make a devil want her. Noticing her hesitation and doubt, Lynn answered without a second thought. Of course. Mahiru, I need you. She froze. For a moment, it felt like something struck her heart. For the first time, she felt needed. Her breathing quickened, and she placed a hand over her chest, feeling her heartbeat. She suddenly recalled something her mother had once told her. You're just an unwanted child. No, mother. From now on, I am wanted. Lin-san, my life is in your hands now. Lynn smirked. Another servant acquired. This went unexpectedly smoothly. He had no idea how much of a role Mahiru's mother played in this outcome. A tiny rebellious spark had ignited within her. The angel wanted to fall. In Mahiru's bedroom. She lay on her bed, her face flushed as she exposed her back. Why do I have to show my back to become a devil? Well, you could choose the front instead. Lynn thought he was being quite democratic about this. Mahiru immediately refused. No, that's absolutely unnecessary. Burying her face in the blanket, her ears turned bright red. She briefly questioned whether she had made the right decision to become a devil. Was this really a normal servant contract? But as soon as the devil's piece entered her body, it was already too late for regrets. In an HHHH, she could feel the transformation happening. Her body was burning, and power surged within her. And then, poof, two black wings extended from her lower back. A heart-shaped tail lazily swayed behind her. This is... Mahiru's eyes sparkled with curiosity as she reached out to touch Itenly to shudder violently. Her fair skin instantly flushed pink. Her breathing grew heavy, and she hastily retracted both her wings and tail, her face burning with embarrassment. Sneaking a glance at Lynn, she worriedly thought, he didn't notice that, right? Meanwhile, Lynn's attention was focused on Mahiru's status screen. Shina Mahiru. Rank, low-class devil. Race, devil. Master, Lynn Valifer. Stats, strength, I0. Agility, I0. Endurance, I0. Magic, I0. Unique skill, Fallen Devil, also known as Fallen Angel Devil. Dash, Fallen Devil. Gains holy, light, and dark attributes. Fallen Wings. Unleashes light-dark feather attacks when wings are spread. Accelerated agility growth. Devilization, Chaos Mode. Seeing her abilities, Lynn's expression turned odd. So, even after reincarnation, she remained an angel? No, she had fallen. Fallen Devil. A fusion of fallen angel and devil traits. How bizarre. But then, ding, you have acquired the skill Fallen Devil. Lynn raised a hand and released a bit of magic. Buzz. A thread of light magic flickered into existence. He reached out and touched it. No burning sensation. His expression grew complicated. So now, as a devil, not only had he lost his weakness to light, but he also possessed power that was effective against devils. Hiss. Lynn sucked in a breath. A single skill had erased his natural devil weaknesses. Light and holy energy were traditionally the greatest threats to devils. Under equal circumstances, devils were naturally at a disadvantage against exorcists, angels, and fallen angels. But now, thanks to Mahiru, that weakness was gone. Amazing. Angels were amazing. Maybe he could even pretend to be a fallen angel now. Lin-san, is something wrong? Mahiru looked at him curiously. Mahiru, you my lucky star. Lin smiled at her. Flustered by his direct praise, Mahiru blushed but felt happy nonetheless. After imprinting her status, she got dressed and checked her abilities. She had already been briefed on how the system worked. Fallen Angel. Seeing this name, Mahiru nearly lost it. Angel? Again? Mahiru. Seeing her speechless reaction, Lin barely held back a laugh. Still, he explained the skill's importance properly. I see. Mahiru's eyes softened, and she smiled. As long as it's useful to you, Lin-san, that's all that matters. Falling? So what? Falling was amazing. Chapter 39. An Angel Invading the Devil's Lair. Note that the Familia equals peerage for Lin, so the author uses both words. Like when talking to Rice, he says peerage, but most of the time, he says Familia. I hope this won't be confusing for anyone. I hope you find the story interesting, and I assure you it will get even better when the Black Bullet world opens later. If you have any suggestions for improvements, feel free to comment, and I'll work on them. I only started translating 2 or 3 months ago, so I'm still improving. Enjoy your reading. Lin's Familia Harem Chat Group. The traditional woman of the Busujima family, Fallen Angel. The girl who an angel is invading the devil chat group. Yatsuya Miko, who was grinding experience in a zombie-infested world, was completely confused. An angel in a devil's lair? Oh wait, I missed the word fallen, but still a fallen angel? That's not exactly reassuring. She still remembered reading about the 3-faction war in the Underworld Basics file shared in the group. Fallen Angel Sama. That's not my fault. I just became Lin-san's new servant, and he wanted me to use this username, that's all. Shina Mahiru's face turned slightly red. She knew this name would stir up some unnecessary attention in a chat group full of devils. But Mahiru glanced at Lin's face from the side. When it came to Lin-san, she really couldn't say no. Lin-san, would you like to have dinner together? Mahiru asked expectantly. It had been a long time since she had a meal with someone at home. Lin had no reason to refuse a meal prepared by his new familia. This is delicious. At the dining table, Lin gave the highest praise. Compared to Utaha's instant noodles, this was 1,000,000 times better. Mahiru's eyes curved happily. Apocalypse World. Kasumikaka, Utaha stared at the chat messages. So while she was here working hard to level up, Lin had gone off somewhere and brought back another woman. Lin's Familia Harem Chat Group. Kasumi Utako. At Sigma Man, Master, I need a magic refill. Ew. Miko shuddered at Utaha's message, her skin crawling. Then she noticed Utaha giving her a death stare. Ahaha senpai, I'll just go grind experience over there. Miko bolted away immediately. Oomph. Utaha let out a soft snort, but a faint pink blush crept up her neck. It wasn't just because Lynn had brought in another woman she felt a small sense of crisis. She suddenly thought of the bunny outfit she had ordered before, and her face got even hotter. That outfit had arrived a while ago, but she had sealed it away in her closet the moment she saw it. She hadn't checked the details when she placed the order. Who would have thought that the outfit would have an openable bottom part? Who the hell designed such a convenient thing? Ding! A new message in the chat brought her back to reality. She quickly checked it. Sigma Man. Isn't Shizuka's milk still available? Utaha's lips twitched. Ever since they updated their blessings together, Shizuka Marikowa's healing devil ability had been fully exposed. Who the hell would want to drink that? It was nothing compared to Lynn's saliva. Wait, no. What the hell was she thinking? This is way too shameless. Elsewhere, Yatsuya Miko, who had just escaped from Utaha, saw the messages and her expression turned strange. She still remembered what she had said back then. Drinking breast milk is something you do before you turn 2. So why is this happening now? Should she also switch to drinking Lin-sama's saliva too? Both options felt weird. Miko was stuck in a dilemma. Main world. Lynn looked at the chat, feeling a bit speechless. Was Utaha getting more and more obsessed with his saliva lately? Oh well, since he was planning to take Mahiru to test out her fallen devil ability anyway, he might as well visit them. Mahiru blinked. Another world. Hearing that Lynn was taking her to another world left her completely stunned. This was moving way too fast. First, she reincarnates as a devil. Now, she's going to another world? Mahiru never imagined that becoming a devil would mean completely breaking away from her past life so quickly. Her life was beginning to fill with new colors. Being a devil was amazing. Mahiru's caramel-colored eyes sparkled with excitement. Even traveling between worlds is possible. Lin-san is truly incredible. Under Mahiru's gaze of admiration, Lin activated his magic. A teleportation array formed beneath them. With a flash of purple light, Lin and Mahiru vanished. Supernatural Research Club. Mahiru was still in a daze. That was teleportation. Where is this? She asked. The Supernatural Research Club. Our Familia's base at the school. Lin explained casually. He also told her to come tomorrow to officially join the club. Mahiru was also a student at Shuchian Academia, pure blood student, no less. Her parents might have neglected her, but there was no doubt she came from a prestigious family. Just before stepping into the portal leading to the apocalypse world, Mahiru asked curiously, "Is everyone in the Familia leveling up in another world?" "That's right." "Great. Then I have to work hard too." Mahiru clenched her fists and pumped herself up. She wanted to be someone Lin needed even more. Apocalypse world. Lin had barely arrived, but before he could even settle in, Utaha somehow immediately locked onto his presence and rushed over. Her eyes lit up. "See? Even though he said Shizuka's milk was enough, he still came for me. Oomph. Everyone, meet the new member of the Familia." Mahiru bowed slightly, smiling. "Hello, everyone. I'm Shina Mahiru. Please take care of me." Utaha froze for a moment. "Okay, so maybe you didn't just come for me." She felt a little disappointed. Lin bringing a newbie here only meant one thing. Time for the standard new member ability test. But since he was already here... Chapter 40. Fallen Angel Form. Kasumigakaka Utaha's gaze was hazy. She licked her lips, swallowing all of Lin's saliva, fully committed to maximizing the magic replenishment effect. Shina Mahiru, who had just joined Lin's peerage, widened her eyes, her pupils trembling violently. As a newcomer, witnessing such an intense scene right off the bat was too much for her little heart to handle. It pounded wildly in her chest. Seeing her exaggerated expression, Utaha looked away, clearly exasperated. She muttered under her breath, "Such a big deal over nothing." It was just magic replenishment. Yeah, that's all it was, magic replenishment. Utaha quickly composed herself, even going so far as to explain the concept to the newcomer while sharing some experience. So that's how it works? Mahiru's expression was odd, but why did it feel like Utaha Senpai's intentions weren't exactly pure? Curiosity got the better of her, and she continued listening. Wait, Utaha abruptly stopped her explanation. Why was I even explaining this to a newbie? What if Mahiru started using this excuse to replenish magic and harass Lynn in the future? Lynn was already busy enough every day. He needed his rest. Utaha. Mahiru tilted her head in confusion. Why did she stop? She wanted to hear more. Lynn didn't concern himself with their little side drama. If Mahiru could quickly get along with the rest of the peerage, he had no complaints. He glanced over at Miko, who was staring at him eagerly, and raised a brow. What's this? Do you need magic replenishment too, Miko? And no. Yatsuya. Miko panicked, waving her hands frantically. But Lynn could clearly see that she looked exhausted, so he walked right over to her. This won't do. If you don't recover your stamina and magic, how are you supposed to level up properly? MMPH. Miko's eyes widened in shock. A soft touch pressed against her lips. A pink shade spread across her cheeks. Despite the embarrassment welling up inside her, her body made no attempt to pull away. Her hands, unsure where to go, rested hesitantly on Lynn's chest. Is this my first real kiss? Her eyes glazed over. Strange, it kind of tastes like orange-flavored lip balm. And wait, isn't this Utaha Senpai's flavor? It didn't last long. Lynn soon pulled away. But Miko still felt like she was floating, absent-mindedly touching her lips. Her first kiss was actually kind of nice. On the other side, Utaha rolled her eyes at the scene. She absent-mindedly kicked at the air, muttering to herself. Knew Miko wouldn't escape this fate either. At this rate, was Miko going to surpass her? The mere thought made Utaha freeze for a moment. No way. She needed to find an opportunity to throw herself into Lynn's bed. Mahiru was slightly taken aback. She finally understood the true meaning behind the name of the Lynn's peerage, Familia, harem chat group. She whispered under her breath, so it really is a full-fledged harem. Then, inevitably, her thoughts drifted to herself. Her face flushed slightly. Was she going to end up like that too? With Miko's magic replenishment taken care of, Lynn turned his attention back to their progress in the apocalypse world. It had been half a month since he arrived. By now, his peerage had explored most of the area around their base. In fact, the local supply of zombies was starting to run low. Utaha and Miko were fine since they only trained at night on weekdays. But Saeko and Shizuka were different. Since they were originally from this world, they didn't have to worry about school or work anymore. With nothing else to do, all they did was fight and kill zombies. Well, mostly Saeko. Before the apocalypse, she had always suppressed her true nature. Now that she could finally let loose, she was going all out with reckless abandon. Poor Shizuka had been dragged along for the ride and was constantly complaining. But the results were undeniable. Saeko's growth rate was insane. A few days ago, when updating her status, her strength had broken past SS and reached SSS. But that also meant she was reaching the limit for a low-class devil. If she kept going, she wouldn't see much more improvement unless she trained for years. If today didn't bring any further progress, Lynn decided he would officially rank her up. Of course, he hadn't forgotten the main reason he brought Mahiru here. Mahiru, let's test your abilities. Yes. Mahiru straightened her back, nervous but determined, clenching her hands together. It was finally happening. She had no idea what her abilities would actually be like. Reading about them wasn't the same as experiencing them firsthand. Saeko. Yes, master. Hearing Lynn's call, Saeko immediately understood what he wanted. She launched forward like an arrow, her incredible speed leaving cracks in the ground. Her physical abilities had improved so much she had practically reached the peak of a low-class devil. Within minutes, Saeko had lured a group of scattered zombies toward them. So these are zombies? Mahiru took a deep breath, gripping her hands tightly. Lynn had already explained the world situation to her before they arrived. But facing them in person was a whole different story. Lynn thought about Mahiru's abilities. After some consideration, he gave an order. Rei, bring me a handgun. Ah, yes. Miyamoto Rei was briefly startled, but quickly ran off to grab a weapon. They had long since discovered the firearms stash in Rika's room. But Lynn's Familia had never needed them. They had tested them out for fun, then left them to collect dust. But Mahiru might be different. Her fallen wings were undoubtedly a large-scale attack ability. But the cost would likely be high. With her magic reserves, she wouldn't be able to use them continuously. That meant she needed a more precise, low-cost attack option. Imbuing bullets with magic and using firearms for pinpoint strikes could be a viable approach. While waiting for the handgun, they had something else to test. Mahiru, try summoning your fallen angel wings. Okay. Mahiru nodded seriously, closing her eyes and focusing on the energy within her. Her back tingled. Something was coming out. Whoosh. Black feathers scattered through the night sky. A pair of massive black wings, nearly 3 meters across, emerged from her shoulder blades. The dark color, so deep and rich, contrasted with Mahiru's naturally pure appearance, creating a strangely enticing blend of holiness and corruption.